like most people, when they want to start this, they do that. And we had just had Finn, our oldest, he's 6 now. And I was just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out, I heard something. So I'm like, I'm sure one of them's right there. um I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and we wanted to do like the fun things. There was like all the Facebook ads that pop up. It's like Sesame Street Live or these different things, and then you go to buy tickets and they're like $75, and you're like, I can't, for your kid, and that's the child price, and you're like, what? And you can't do that. And so I thought, at the time, going back to school was going to be my only option. I thought, I've got to go back and get my master's. But with the healthcare system that I worked for, that tied you, I mean, they would eventually pay for some of it, but that tied you into either like dragging out your study for like forever so that we can get it covered each class, or I was going to be tied into a contract for X amount of years to make sure that I stayed there and did all these things. And I'm like, what if I change my mind? What if I want to do this? Or what if I get another job opportunity that I'm penalized? And so there was all these stressors happening. And at the same time, I ended up seeing a post about hair, skin, and nails and thought, you know what? Like I could use that because I did the mom chop, chopped it all off, and wanted that product. But, I just couldn't justify spending the extra money on myself. So long story short, got started, after months of her following up with me. And she's like, have you thought about making money using the products? And I'm like, well, no, but tell me how to do that. And that, for me, $99 at the time, it's a lot of money, but I had just spent $75 sending over transcripts that I'm like, $75 just for you to transfer my transcripts. That doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't know why that's $75. So did all that. My second month in, I hit Ruby, which is the $500 extra dollars a month. And at the time, too, of starting, we had to switch Finn's daycare. We ended up paying $500 more a month than we had initially budgeted for. So all these things were happening, adulting at its finest. And, like your mortgage goes up, after escrow of your first year, like all these things were happening at one time. And we're like, we can't catch up because I had just come back from maternity leave. So that $500 extra dollars a month was the saving grace. So did that. 6 months in, I more than matched my nursing salary, and Kyle actually came home. So he's been home for 5 years as of beginning of this month. And then 14 months in, I was able to leave my job as a nurse. But right before that, when we double promoted from double to presidential, that month is when we experienced a miscarriage. And so that kind of started our whole unexplained infertility journey. All the things we started trying to grow our family, all that kind of stuff, experienced miscarriage, and then we just couldn't get pregnant. So ended up promoting to ambassador, and then we took our 2.0 count. We've taken that triple. We ended up doing IVF. So my daughter, who is not sleeping in her bed, she is now 2. So we went through this whole process, and we're coming up on a 3-year anniversary of transferring her embryo. So we paid cash for that, which is like $40,000 to $50,000 in treatment when you look at the big scheme of things. And then God had a sense of humor. When she was 7 months old, I got pregnant on my own. And so they're 15 and a half months apart. And he was born with a cleft lip and cleft palate. So because of this business, we've been able to, pay cash for his treatments, all that kind of stuff. We were supposed to be coming up on our next big surgery, but all of this chaos and crazy has pushed us back 2 months. So that is life. Things are always happening. And so I know we're going to get into that a little bit more, but that's the shortened version of our story.
I love your story just because I know we have a lot of similarities on our journey and how much life we've been through while also working this business. So I was going to ask you about his surgery earlier when we were talking, because I figured with the announcements that may have changed. Okay, so obviously life happens. We're in a business with people. We all have real lives, all sorts of things, miscarriage, death, divorce. I mean, you name it. There's someone on here is going through something at all times. So can you just speak to maybe someone that has life going on? Obviously, we all have this crazy thing, craziness, but just the personal life, because that's still going on too. In addition to the virus and the quarantine, people are going through real life. So do you have any advice for people that are trying to work their business or navigate that? And I'll just let you talk to that, whatever's on your heart.
So I would drop a one if you're a control freak or type A personality in the comments, because that's me. Okay. And so when these kind of things happen, like I don't like it. I don't thrive well in chaos. I mean, I thrive in chaos and crazy, but I highly like to have a routine. And I really like to get things done. And I really like to be in control of what exactly is going to happen. That's why I'm like, like all this stuff. So something that I've learned over the last couple of years is, I'm only going to really focus on the things that I absolutely for sure know I can control, which is my work ethic and the things that I'm doing each and every day. And so that's one thing. If you ever hear Kyle say, he will always tell you, like, her one key to success is she literally is consistent every single day. Like every single day I show up and I do the things. And so for me, that first month when we were going through, when we were pushing for double to pres, we knew like things are going to happen. And then, it was literally July 4th weekend. And, we found out we were going to be miscarrying. Then it was a whole month of back and forth doctor's appointments, all these things. And I was like, okay, like I can't control what that outcome is going to be, but I can control what's going to happen as far as my business goes. And so if I slack off, I'm not going to have the enrollments and the things that I want to do. And so life's always going to happen. And I listened to an awesome sermon. You can search it on YouTube, by Pastor John Gray. And I think it's called like, it's not over, it's starting over, something like that. But he literally talks about how, even in the Bible, it's like the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So the story is already written, the piece is already there, like things are already in place. It's this middle ground. It's this middle ground of what we can control and how we react in it. Because, you can come across something and you can go, so like this COVID thing, like it's already here, it's already impacting everybody's lives. And so it can either affect you negatively, or you can focus on, okay, this is going to be a positive thing. It's allowing me to work from home. It's allowing me to spend more time with my kids. It's allowing me to be more present. It's allowing me to really appreciate, just the flexibility in schedules to like run to Target if you want to run to Target, or peruse the aisles, or even hug your friends and family. Like, all these things that we typically take for granted, it's looking at it in a more positive perspective. And so that's what I'm choosing to do each and every day, because I can't control it. I cannot control how the virus is going to spread and all the details. And I always tell people, I'm like, I think sometimes I live under a rock, because I'm like, I didn't even know that this was going on, really. But until all of a sudden, like my son's school shuts down, then we're like, okay, this is, I guess, getting real. So those are the little things. So life is going to happen regardless. It's just how you react in the in between. And so you have to commit and decide, okay, like I have goals and I have dreams. And that was something for me that I kept telling myself and telling, Kyle, when we were pushing for that, is like we have goals and things, and our team is counting on us, and they have visions of what's going to happen. And so something that I'm going through personally, yes, by all means, like take the time to grieve and do the things that you need to do. And it's not to say that you just wake up one day and it's gone. No, but it's, hey, I'm choosing to show up and do the best that I can each day. And if every day is not perfect, that's okay. Give yourself grace, because there's going to be so many not perfect days, especially in this time frame. Especially, if you're a new homeschooling mom, drop a 2 in the comments if all of a sudden you're trying to do this and you're like, okay, where's the wine? That's me. That's me. I'm like, I don't even know how. I text Finn's teacher and I was like, I don't know how you do this every day. We haven't even started, but I'm just like, good Lord, sir, like just sit down for a few minutes. Yes, carry the one. I love it. But that's what I'm literally thinking. I bought him this math thing and all the things. So it's so funny. But there is all these things that are going to be happening. And so you just have to decide, okay, I can't control that. But for me, like I know I function best in the morning. So I'm not changing up my routine. I'm still getting up. I'm still planning to get up, at 4 a.m. I'm not hopping to the gym. I'm going to go upstairs into our workout room and still get that done, because I know that what I can control is my routine, my schedule, and the work ethic that I'm putting in. And so that's what I'm going to do.
So good, but I am laughing at you homeschooling, you poor thing. I don't have to do that. My life is literally the same. I'm at home with a baby. Um,
Yeah, you're lucky.
so I remember before I had Jackson, I was asking you on the plane for advice of just working and having a baby and getting a baby to sleep and all of the things. And I remember you telling me, like, I don't Zoom past a certain time. I wake up early
Mhm,
in the morning. Like, those are my like non-negotiables. I don't schedule things because I like my sleep. So my
mhm.
baby's got to sleep and I have to get up early and work my business. So can you maybe kind of backtrack to how it was when you were working as a nurse and
Mhm.
how you were like what your schedule maybe kind of looked like with working the business outside of a normal job? I know nurses a little bit, the schedule's a little bit different, but still.
Yeah, so I actually worked in like the administration side. So I was a nurse navigator. So my role was really kind of rounding on patients, helping make sure that, seeing if they need anything before they go into the OR. So I worked with joint replacements. And so our surgeons, they liked the patient to be rolling into the OR at 6:15 for surgical cut at 6:45. So I knew that if and that was kind of my role, is being like a concierge, like seeing how did the process go. So I knew that I had to get to work early between 5:30 and 6, which seems crazy. But people are checking it. You have to get there 2 hours before to check in for any type of procedure. So I knew I wanted to be that first face that seeing the patient, making sure that, they don't have any outstanding questions, help the families figure out what bed they're going to go to afterwards, like all these things. That's just the extra hand holding. So I had to be up at work really early. So it was not, my schedule was different. So I would wake up, around 4 a.m. So I still would wake up around 4 a.m. so I could get ready for the day and all that good stuff. And I wasn't messaging or sending out stuff like that because, people would think you're crazy messaging them at 4 a.m. So that's the time that I did a lot of self development. I had to drive into Memorial Hermann Hospital. And so if I left at a certain time, I can make it there in 15 to 20 minutes. And then, if it's later in the morning, then it became an hour to hour and a half drive. So that's when I was listening to trainings, recordings, listening to any type of self-development on my drive to work, and just as I was getting ready. And then, when I got to work, I every single night before, I would pre-plan posts. So I put things in my notes, not necessarily schedule, because I don't even know if there's apps that can do that anymore, but have those in my notes. I would determine my list of people that I was going to message, because I can't tell you like how many times, some people say, well, message X amount of people. That wasn't that wasn't the perspective that I needed. I needed to know exactly who I was going to message, because when I went to message, I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't want to spend time saying, okay, like scrolling through my list. Oh, this one looks good. And then I'm spending so much time scrolling. So I had to be really effective in that time, the night before. So coming up with that list of people that I was going to message, pre-planning my post, determining who I needed to follow up with, and again, creating that list, because I'm such a list maker that I'm like, it thrills me to like cross things off where I'm like, oh, check, at least I did this part. I did all this. So coming up with that list and being effective. And then, I was posting. So I didn't have a lot of time. It might be like when I was walking back to my office, going to the restroom, something like that, throw up a post. Then at my lunch break, it was never the same time. And a lot of times I would end up eating, at my desk, and my desk had like no windows, like it was inside this little thing. And so sometimes I would be like, hey, I'm just going to go walk, for 15 minutes or something like that. But I would plan and schedule a potential call, or somebody that I could chat with, or maybe it was checking in with my team, a team call, or coaching call, whatever you want to call it. And then on my drives home, I was planning potential calls as well. So I was getting people on the phone, because I'm like, hey, I don't have a lot of time and you can work this too, but I would love to pick your brain for just 15 minutes, and we can kind of bounce ideas off, see if this feels like a fit for you, because I don't want to waste your time nor mine. So anytime I can get somebody on the phone, I would much rather do that versus the texting back and forth. Because again, a lot of times when they hear your voice, all that kind of good stuff, they're ready, and they can answer, and you can answer any questions. You don't have all the back and forth. And so I think sometimes we forget, like, we have the power of a phone call where you can knock out a lot of work in a little bit of time. So scheduling those calls. Then when I got home, sometimes it was gym time. I would be making dinner, And then in the evenings, we had team conference calls because we didn't have Zooms back when I was working. But, again, a lot of it was communication with Kyle because it wasn't necessarily something every single night. Um, but a lot of it was communicating and just saying, hey, because I love to do bath time. I love to do those things because it was like my only time because Kyle got to take Finn to daycare. I didn't see him in the mornings until I got home. So that was our time. And so there was sometimes where I'm like, hey, I need you to do bath tonight because I have to plug into this. Or, obviously now like you can listen to different things. So that, and then when he went to bed, again, my kids are pretty routine minus like this hiccup that's going on right now. They're pretty routine where they're going to bed at 7. So I know I'm not necessarily staying up all hours of the night because, again, I do need sleep. And I think in order to build a successful business, you do have to take care of yourself too. And, don't go on 2 hours of sleep if your body doesn't function on that. Some people can thrive on that. I do not. So find that magic and then work with that schedule. But, I did a lot of pre-planning. So that's even when I do at home. Like when I get off this or we're listening to Sunday Family Call, I'll be stacking up some stories. That way I already have content to be posting tomorrow and I'm not having to think about it. I'll be, saving Instagram posts as drafts because then all I have to do is hit next and post it up. And so, there's so much that you can do now to just really be effective. Even if you have only 30 minutes, maybe it's, 15 minutes, it's pre-planning in those little chunks of time.
Oh, so many good tips. I love doing the list the night before. I think
Mhm.
especially for those of you that struggle with time management or don't have a whole lot of time, that's something that you can so easily do on the couch next to your spouse while you're watching Netflix. Like, hey, I'm not going to be messaging people, but I'm going to just like be going through my friends list, and you can find people to message, create that list, and have it ready to go the next day. Because the problem is, like you said, people will just scroll to look for someone to message, and we will talk ourselves out of that so fast or get distracted by some funny video or whatever, and we'll never get the messages out. Or by the time we get our second message out, the first person's already responded and maybe they said no. So now we're discouraged before you even sent out 2 messages. So I love that because you can knock out so many messages back to back. And I feel like when it comes to messaging, you build up momentum. You get a couple out and you're like, okay, it's not so bad. And you get confidence and you keep sending them. So good. And then I love the tip about getting people on the phone because I am so guilty of that. But when you were talking, I was thinking, you know what? I kind of have the time to text back and forth with people, but what a waste of time. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'm using so much time, and other people don't have that much time. Like I might have it that day, but a lot of people don't. So getting people on the phone, and honestly, guys, even if you're awkward, even if you're nervous, even if you're nervous about the questions they might ask you, even if you're brand new, there is something about letting people hear your voice, which is why I voice message a lot when I can, because it just makes you such a real person, especially if they're a stranger from Facebook or Instagram or wherever. So, okay. I want to hear like if there's any specific advice you are giving your team right now with everything going on. I know we already talked about working through life, but specifically with just the world being kind of weird, I feel like some people are using it to their advantage. Like they know tons of people are on social media. Other people are quiet. And I don't know if it's because their routine has changed or if they
Mhm.
just feel weird. So whatever you've shared with your team, I'd love to hear some of that.
So I think, I kind of take it back to Hurricane Harvey because there was a couple people, like if you're local to Houston, I don't know if you have a lot of local people on, but, I take it back to that because even in Katy, like we had water that came up to our driveway and everything, but we didn't have damage inside of our house. And I know that there were certain people. And then I had friends in the business that were like, I can't post anything about that. Like I don't want to do that. And I'm like, but the amazing thing is you have such a platform that you can, one, bring positivity to other people's lives. Two, you have an amazing opportunity. People are drinking coffee like it's their job right now, especially if you're becoming that homeschool mom that all of a sudden you're like, I need the coffee. And three, like if you go and you look at any single Starbucks memes, all of the lines are out of control. So people don't want to leave their house either, obviously, because we're all supposed to stay home too, right? So we have that's like first and foremost, we're supposed to stay home. Um, But, that's the big thing is, if you're looking at all of those things as a positive thing, so it's our job right now to just use that influence and that ability to talk about the coffee, talk about how it makes you feel, talk about the energy that you have, that you feel, talk about, the goals that you have, talk about how you can help people while your child is sitting there finishing a math sheet, and you're able to sit there and chat with other moms that have lost their jobs, or they were in this service industry and now all of a sudden they have to file for unemployment. And like my sister's a server, and she said, it's not even guaranteed, and it's about half of what she would normally make. And the first week when you apply, it's called a waiting period. So you have to wait it out. You don't even get money. And then eventually, once you go back to work, you can request for that money afterwards. And so I'm like, you're just sitting there hoping that your paperwork gets approved, but all of these people all over the US are applying for the same thing. It's not just going to be like Hurricane Harvey, So think about that. Like, you have an amazing opportunity to give to people, to share that. And it's not our job for them to say yes. It's our job to just share. And so I think that we have to remember that too. It's like, they may say, hey, it's not the time right now, I can't do that. Or they may be like, oh my God, this is God's timing and just what I needed. And so that's not your choice. It's just your choice to share it over and over and over again. But I think, you really have to do, if you're having doubts about it, or, struggling with, should I post? I feel bad posting, and moving forward with life. Like, the thing that I keep thinking is, like, the position that we're in this position for a reason. And if we need to bless somebody today, we could do that. And that's the one thing that I'm so thankful for. I'm so thankful that I don't have to worry about, paying our bills or doing any of those kind of things. Like, I just don't have to stress about that. So I can't even imagine, especially, as you have more kids and everything, like 3 kids is expensive, especially with food. And as they get older, like all these things. And that's what I always joke about. I'm like, oh my God, like our pantry is going to be empty like the first day of quarantine because my son eats all the snacks. Like, I don't understand it. So, there's so much power and so much good that can come from this, but you just have to wrap your mind around, okay, how can I use this for good? How can I use this to help more people? And if you're posting negative things on your wall, now's not the time to do it. More people need positivity in their lives than they need the negativity. Because even you go to the news and it's like all these fake news, people are creating fake documents from the government, like all that kind of stuff. Like, don't be that person. Just sit there and talk about how you can work this through any type of situation, and you can make that money regardless.
So good. I have a girl that just joined today that she's been terrified. We've been talking about it for a year, and you think, people are nervous, I think, because people think they're not spending money. But this
Mm-hmm.
girl, literally her back's against the wall. Like, she doesn't really have the extra money, but now her husband also doesn't have a job. Like, and she can't get hired because she's pregnant. And so she doesn't even have an opportunity right now. Like, people need it. And she
Mm-hmm.
saw a post that I made today about the business because I'm continuing to post. And she was like, okay, I've seen all your posts this week because I've done nothing but scroll on social media and I'm ready to go. So if you're not posting, all of these people that are on social media, they're going to see someone else's post. So if you want them to join with you, you've got to be consistent and you've got to be serious about what you're doing. So, okay, last thing, we've got a couple minutes left. I was going to ask you about just promotion tips. We have a lot of people that are pushing for promotions that maybe are feeling a little bit discouraged, but we still have, it's only the 22nd. So whatever tips you've got for people pushing for a promotion, either this month or just, in the spring or summer in general.
I think that this whole entire situation puts it into such good perspective because, obviously, like, nobody wants their business to do this, obviously. So I think if you're putting in the work each and every day, you're going to see that consistent uphill incline. And so for me, like, the end goal for all of us is what? The finish line. And so it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. It doesn't matter how fast you go. It's the important thing that you just keep going and you keep going up. So for me, when I'm telling my girls, like, a lot of them, and I don't know if you saw, like, Amy Spence's host to post, but her training, Zoom training, but that was amazing because she just, she talked about how, the consistency of that and how there is so much power in things that are working. It's just figuring out what works best for you. And so I liked that. So I've started kind of implementing that because I am a pen and paper person. And so I felt kind of chaotic creating all these folders and collections. And so I've started doing that. Um, but, the big thing right now is even if you want to take it in perspective of planting season, okay, maybe maybe you are working towards that promotion. You're always working towards that promotion, but now maybe it's, you might not, let's say you're like, oh, I'm discouraged because I'm not having as many customers sign up or whatever. That's okay. This is the perfect time to focus, on skinny brew samples, to focus on being consistent using the products, being consistent posting about the products, being consistent following up. Because when people see that over and over, and that's the crazy, like I have one lady, she's like, she literally bought samples and then, she's like, I have to close down my shop, but she became a loyal customer. So don't prejudge people either, thinking that people aren't going to spend money. They're going to spend money on certain things. And so if you're talking about how amazing that coffee makes you feel, how you're losing weight, because again, people are eating all the things in their pantry right now, all the things. And so they're gonna, and swimsuit season is like right around the corner. So it's like people are gonna want to look for something. So even if they're not saying yes right now, you're planting that seed. You're planting that seed to the person. Maybe it's, I saw Katie put, the gyms are all closed. So maybe you think about this as like offering a free service. Maybe you're like, I'm going to get healthy too. So I'm going to go live, or I'm going to post the workout that I'm doing at home just to help people in that aspect. So that way they're coming to your page, they're looking for those things, and then they're going to see, oh, she uses these other products in addition. And I love that she hasn't even left her house. That's awesome. Or maybe it's simple recipes every single day that you're offering on your platform, and you're saying, hey, this is a 4-ingredient crock pot thing that you can throw in there, chicken, cream cheese, whatever, but people know that they're coming to your page for that. But then they're also going to see, hey, she's also posting about coffee every day. I like that. So figure out how you can help other people in this time of need, but also be consistent with the other things, because that's how people are going to see it. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't lose focus on that goal and that mindset. I would just make sure that you keep showing up every single day and doing your best in each situation. And the enrollments are going to happen. It happens with consistency.
I'm going to now think of social media like the Super Bowl right now, and people pay so much money to have Super Bowl commercials. Everyone right now that is on social media. Like, this is our time to
Mm-hmm.
shine and to plant those seeds with people, to show them what we have to offer. And I'm not going to lie, if I was about to join this business and I was super nervous, like 99% of people are when they join, I'm going to join with the girl or guy that was serious about building his business through all sorts of life, through regardless of what was going on, because I would want to know that someone wasn't going to desert me as soon as I joined and something happened in their life or in something happened in the world. So keep that perspective too. People are watching. They want to know that they're joining with someone that's serious, that isn't just going to go MIA every once in a while. So I love a lot of the comments. You guys are so awesome. I appreciate you so much, Erin, for getting on, sharing your tips, sharing your life with us. I know that everyone is so thankful. They've been cheering you on in the chat. We just appreciate it so, so much. And we hope that you can get your kids to bed. Thanks for making that sacrifice. I know you like your sleep. But
Oh no, we're good. We're good. That's why I'm like, it's long gone now with this whole like month-long situation of her not sleeping. So it is what it is. But I
aw.
will keep the prayers. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Well, we appreciate it so much. We are off in time for the Sunday night call, although we know they'll probably start in about 7 minutes, because that's how it happens. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you guys for getting on. Don't forget, we've got power hours all month long. Check the team page, and I'll chat with you guys soon. Thanks, Erin.
Bye, y'all.